One of the number one questions that I get asked regularly is, hey, Stacie, really and truly, how much am I going to have to spend out of pocket each month to try to get this business off the ground? Hi, everybody. I'm Stacie Bloomfield. I'm an artist, an art business owner, an online educator, and I am here to talk to you today about the nitty-gritty of running an art-based business. So I thought I would answer this question by doing a survey and asking some emerging artists that I coach how much they're really spending in their business month to month. I think you're going to be pretty encouraged because the truth is, compared to so many other business startups, you're really not going to have to take that much out of your pocket each month in order to get your art licensing and your product-based business off the ground. We're talking in recurring expenses like $100 a month. Now, that might sound scary if you're like, I don't have an extra $100 a month. Well, I'm going to give you some ideas of ways that you can generate income quickly from your art so that it doesn't feel as scary. But before I get to that, I really want to dive into the real money. Now, when I started my business back in 2009, really my overhead was very low. We're talking a MacBook Pro, which yes, that's expensive, but I had invested in it so that I could really get my business off the ground. What else did I have? I had a great printer. I invested in a $600 archival printer because I wanted to make art prints and stationery, and I knew that if I could produce it myself, my profit would be bigger. And aside from those two items, I had Adobe Illustrator, and back then it wasn't even on the cloud. You had a disk, you installed it into your computer, and that's how I had Adobe Illustrator, but now it's cloud subscription based, and those were really my only pieces of overhead. Now, I didn't invest in a lot of supplies. I was literally drawing on anything I could get my hands on. I think I even was drawing on the back of manila envelopes using Sharpies because I did not want to spend money on art supplies until I made some money from my art business. But I want to encourage you to not be that stingy when it comes to starting your art business, because truly, if you have the right tools, you're gonna grow faster. And that's what we all want, right? Now, real quick, before we dive into the actual budgets that I got from artists just like you who are growing their art-based businesses, I want to remind you that when it comes to art licensing or doing print-on-demand products, your overhead can be very, very low. Now, if you're interested in producing products on your own to sell, your overhead's just going to be higher because you're spending money on product. So really keep in mind where you want to start from so that you can keep your overhead as low as possible. And that's one of the main reasons I encourage people to start with art licensing and building a beautiful portfolio of artwork. Because if you can make beautiful art that looks wonderful on product, I really think it's the key to opening so many doors for you as an artist who is making money. Now, like I mentioned, I surveyed some artists. They are members of my mastermind that I run, the Creative Mastermind. So I asked them genuinely, what are you spending money on each month to grow your art business? And of course, I'm talking to a specific group of artists who are focusing on art licensing, print on demand, and some of them have product-based businesses. But I think we're going to find that this number is pretty common and approachable. So here we go. So when it comes to your monthly recurring expenses, you're going to spend money on a few things regularly. Adobe Creative Suite, which I referenced just a little bit ago, it is subscription-based right now, meaning if you want to have access to Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop and Adobe InDesign, you have to subscribe every month to Adobe. Now, y'all, I would strongly encourage you to start using Adobe-based products because they are kind of the most commonly used programs for art-based businesses. Whether you are an illustrator or a fine artist or doing printmaking, people are using all of these programs to digitize their art, to get their art on a product. So I would encourage you to invest in Adobe Creative Suite. Another thing that you're going to have to spend money on is online storage for all of that beautiful art that you're making. Do not just save things to your computer because computers crash, iPad devices crash, and it stinks. So you're going to want to back up your art. I like to back up all of my art and all of my documents, really, on Dropbox. Now, some people don't like Dropbox, so they're going to use a similar program, maybe like Google Storage. That's totally fine. But you're going to need to pay a monthly subscription for this kind of service, and it costs about $12 a month for Dropbox. Another thing that's really important is a newsletter. I dive in deep to this topic inside my membership and inside my course, Leverage Your Art. And having a newsletter is essential if you want to grow your online-based business. Now, you're probably here because you joined my newsletter, right? A newsletter is a great way for you to talk about what you're doing and keep people who are your super fans or people who want to learn from you up to date. Now, the good news about a newsletter is most newsletter service providers, they offer a free plan up to 1,000 subscribers. And then after 1,000 subscribers, you're going to have to pay money. But if you're starting out, you can use a free plan and it's going to take you really far. Yay for free things. Now, another thing you're going to want to consider is at some point, you're going to want your own home base on the internet, your own website, and that's going to cost money. So whether you're working with WooCommerce or Squarespace or Shopify, they have affordable plans for you to be able to build a website that's your online home base. So right now, to launch a custom website, it's anywhere between $14 and $30. And that's where most artists are starting with, using pre-made themes and adjusting them so that they look just so. But $30 a month is what you can expect maximum for a beginning website to get it off the ground. Now, if you want to have a custom domain, so instead of it being like gingerbread.shopify.com, it's just gingerbread.com, you can buy your own custom domain. And we're talking, it's like $1.25 a month. That's it. You can pay for it for a year up front, but having your own custom domain is always really fun. Then another recurring fee is going to be your online bookkeeping. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, Stacie, I'm not making any money right now. I don't really need to keep track of this. I get it. You can use spreadsheets for as long as you want to. But at some point, you're going to want to automate this to save you time and to have really accurate expense recording. So places like QuickBooks or FreshBooks are a lot of go-to places for artists who are keeping track of their bookkeeping. And that's going to cost about $25 a month. So all in, the bare minimum expenses are less than $100 a month. And some of those things I just listed, you don't even need yet. So we're talking really, really affordable to get your art business off the ground. The next thing I want to talk about is a different type of expense that I would encourage you to have, and that's educational expenses. Now look, you're an artist and you're wanting to grow your business, and I'm here for you. There are so many online resources that are here to help you grow, but I want you to consider investing in yourself through some paid online education, because I find that the quality is higher whenever I'm paying for private educational resources. And I also find that I grow faster whenever I am letting someone teach me rather than trying to piecemeal it all together and trying to just learn it on my own. Trust me, I tried for like 10 years to grow my business in isolation, just figuring it out, faking it till I made it. And y'all, I wish I could go back in time and tell myself to spend a little bit of money on myself, learning from people who are further down the road than me. But really, how much is that going to cost? How much is it going to set you back each month? A lot of people start with Skillshare. It's about $14 a month at the time of this recording. And Skillshare is going to give you access to thousands of lessons about topics related to art businesses, from illustration to repeat pattern making to digitizing your art. Guys, there's so many great classes out there. In fact, I even teach a few classes on Skillshare, and I love my Skillshare membership. Look at Skillshare as the least expensive option for online education. The next type of online education that I want to encourage you to find is an online community, a place where you can have accountability. I read a recent study that says you are 95% more likely to achieve your goals if you have direct accountability with someone. So I am a member of 2 online communities, a mastermind and a membership, and they have helped me grow my business faster than anything else. I love the private, higher level type of education that I get inside of a membership. And in fact, y'all, I run a membership, and what I offer there is a private community to help artists be able to talk things out. I do individualized lessons, and I think memberships are a great place for you to grow in a specific area that you're interested in. And the last type of education that I'm going to talk about is a more expensive type of education. It's investing in an online course. Now, last year on my own business, I invested $10,000 just in online courses and memberships to help me grow my business. Now, that's a huge number. I'm not expecting you to spend $10,000. I'm 13 years into my business, and the more it grows, the more I have to learn. Find a course, an online educator that you really trust, and to see if they offer any classes that might be of interest to you. I find that paid courses, y'all, people go really deep into the subject matter there, and I like to find teachers that I really trust and connect with who are doing things that I want to do. So With online education, how much are we talking each month that you should budget so that you can grow your business? If you did all the things that I just recommended, if you put aside $79 a month, you could invest in a course, a membership, and Skillshare. That's a good goal to set. Now, if you're not ready for all of these things, start with Skillshare. It's the most affordable, gives you the most access to the most different types of topics for your art business. Now, aside from the $100 a month that we talked about in recurring expenses and the up to $70 a month that you could put aside for online education investment, we have some one-time expenses that we can't overlook because they're probably going to be the most expensive investments in your business. And we're talking your equipment, your art supplies, and things like business licenses. So let's really dissect that for a second. How much is it going to cost? Now, if you want to get brand new things, you're going to pay top dollar. Now, if you want to find other ways to get great equipment, I always like to shop refurbished. I just go online and I Google refurbished MacBook or refurbished iPad. And that's how I buy most of my equipment. And you're going to find that it cuts your expenses down quite a bit. There are some things that you can't skip on, though, and that's going to be things like your art supplies. So depending on how you work, whether you're a digital artist or a fine artist, you're going to find that you have different types of art supplies that you're needing to buy. Now, since I'm primarily working digitally right now, I don't really spend a lot on art supplies, but if you're a watercolor artist or you're a printmaker, you're going to have to spend more money. So keep that in mind. I can't give you an exact budget for that right now. And there's two more things I want you to think about. Your business license, depending on where you live. Now, where I live in Arkansas, I pay $40 a year for my business license, and I just renew that online. It's really easy, and it keeps me legit as a local business. And then business cards. A lot of people don't even think about business cards anymore because we're working online. But I love to have business cards made up so that I can hand them out to friends and family if I ever go to craft shows, and if I'm ever shipping anything, I just slide a business card right into that package. So we're talking all in to run an art business. Less than $100 a month in recurring expenses. Online education, we're talking $70 a month if you want to put that amount aside. And then for your one-time expenses, that's really going to be up to you to find the best deal on the equipment. But if you were to buy everything brand new, $3,000 out of pocket. But keep in mind, your equipment, your art supplies, they're going to last you a long time. I've been using this here MacBook Pro that you can't see in the frame, but that I've been looking at from time to time. I've been using it for like 3 years. In my last MacBook Pro, I used it until it could be used no more. I think I used it for 6 years. So really, you can get a lot of mileage out of these investments. And if you keep your overhead low, and if you're working towards actually selling your artwork, it's not going to be long before you're spending $100 a month, but making $200 a month, making $400 a month, and then eventually making some consistent income. So you might be thinking, I don't have an extra $100 to put in my business right now, Stacie. Don't worry. I have a free resource for you. It's a 48-page artist income stream guide, and it gives you so many different ideas for how you can make money right now from your art. And in fact, I would challenge you to do one thing. I would ask you, can you create something custom right now that you can put on Facebook or on your social media and create spots for custom work? Like custom pet portraits, custom house portraits, and just say, hey, I have 5 spots available this month for custom work. Charge $100 each, and you have just made 5 months worth of your overhead expense to invest in your business. That's pretty awesome, right? And in fact, a lot of artists that I know, myself included, I started out doing so much custom work, not because that's what I wanted to do forever, but because I needed seed money to grow my own art business. So what can you do right now to generate some income from your art? Download the guide. I'm going to link to it below, and I'd love to see what you're able to come up with. You're probably running an art business if you're watching this or you want to, and maybe there are a couple of things that I overlooked or didn't include in this budget. Email me and let me know or comment below this. So I hope that this has been valuable for you. I hope it encourages you that really out of pocket, you don't have to invest that much to get your business off the ground. And if you're still feeling scared, I want you to really think, what do you have right in front of you that you can use to create some income? I always say use what's right in front of you. That's what I did. I started out using a manila envelope and a Sharpie, and I created my first illustrations that I eventually sold on Etsy. And now 13 years later, I'm running a 7-figure art studio. All right, that's all I have for you today. I hope it encourages you to see what's possible. All right, I'll see you later. Bye.